Hello and welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends on opposite sides of the Atlantic catch up over a crossword. I'm Theo in London.
And I'm Rob in Montreal. Theo, you're back. I didn't even know you were somewhere, but apparently you were somewhere. Where were you?
I was somewhere. Well, I've been several places, and apologies to listeners, our episode did not get recorded last week in the end. Because I spent most of half term in Devon, which is a regular place for us because my in-laws are there, and we went to stay with them, had a lovely time, 5-6 days of crabbing and walking and going on boats and various good wholesome fun.
Messing around on boats, as Rat would have us think. Indeed. In Wind in the Willows.
Yes, as the great Kenneth Grahame would have said, we were messing about in boats and then abandoned our children with their grandparents and went over to Italy for a weekend of a different kind of fun.
Of debauchery. Was that planned, or was that just like you got so sick of it and you just looked at your parents and they're like, take them, we're gone. We just found a last minute deal.
We're off.
We have to go to some shitty timeshare and listen to a speech for 2 hours, but then apparently we get a free vacation.
Yeah. No, it was long planned because our lovely next door neighbour, Laura, turned 40. And she is Italian and comes from Genoa, and her family have this lovely place in Santa Margherita, which is a town just up the coast from Genoa, which is where the party was. And it was glorious, Rob. It was just...
That sounds glorious.
Pure la dolce vita. You know, it was sunshine, it was wine, it was gelato, it was ciao, bella, all the way, and we just had a fabulous 3 days. So I'm feeling very sort of, I was about to say I'm feeling very zen, but obviously today is the first day sort of back in harness, as it were, after 3 days of R&R. So I'm sort of feeling a bit like I'm getting up to speed with everything again.
You've got the blinkers on and the bit in your mouth, and you are now being put back through your paces.
It's exactly that. I'm plodding along the ploughed furrow.
Yeah.
Just thinking back to this dreamy weekend that may or may not actually have happened back in drizzly South London. But anyway, yes, all is well, and Italy is just fantastic, as I always knew it was. It's not my first time in Italy, but it was my first time in that bit of Italy, and must say, highly recommended. Yeah.
They do know how to live.
They do know how to live. They've got so many of their priorities in the right order. You know, food at the top, family pretty up there as well. I mean, economic growth fairly far down, seemingly. Yeah. But I think that's the way it should be. You know, that's absolutely the way it should be. And yes, sign me up for La Dolce Vita again. I'd like to do this on a much more regular basis, really, because every time you have that little break, you just come back feeling so much fresher and just ready to dive back into all the stuff that we often talk about.
Yes, indeed.
And day-to-day life and all of that. So anyway, how's things your side?
Those stimulating things. Well, not bad. I've actually been sojourning intellectually in Italy the last few days, Theo. Ooh. So I've been bathed in the Italian Renaissance. Yeah,
splendid.
I'm reading actually a really interesting book called Peak Human, which I saw when I was over in England last, and a friend of mine and I are actually co-reading it. We're going to do a little book club on it. So thanks to James Knapp for giving me his copy of it, actually, just as I was leaving London. It arrived at their doorstep, and he said, you take this, I'll get another one, because it turned out it wasn't available in Canada yet. But it's basically a study of golden ages throughout human history, including the Athenian democracy and Rome and Song China and the Italian Renaissance and the Abbasid Caliphate and other things like that, but looking at sort of the conditions that led to golden ages and so forth. And I didn't know so much that part of the history of Italy, like the sort of city-state part, when the balance of power between the powerful families in the different city-states and the merchants, and then the Pope on the other side and the Holy Roman Emperor, was kind of, no one had the upper hand. And so a sort of sudden moment of freedom occurred in a lot of cities, Florence being chief of which, where there was that sort of intellectual ferment that took hold, and then the influx from the merchants trading with the Middle East of texts from the ancients, Aristotle and so forth, landed in this moment in time where there was quite a lot of intellectual freedom and there was a flourishing. And that's where you had, Raphael and Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and all these luminaries had the time and the space to do luminous things. Then the Holy Roman Emperor and the Pope kind of got the upper hand, and the Counter-Reformation got into full gear. And all of that was duly repressed, including, famously Galileo for positing heliocentrism, which was very much against the papal view at the time, and he was forced to recant under punishment of grave torture. So
there's that wonderful novel, The Agony and the Ecstasy, about the sort of rivalry between Da Vinci and Michelangelo. And it's very good on that period. And I think it would have been an amazing period to go back to, that question, if you could go back in time and live at any point, anywhere, where would it be? I mean, that would be up there, wouldn't it? Renaissance Italy. Sure. Just at the fulcrum of all of this explosion of art and ideas and so many other things that continue to influence to this day. And that's, in some ways, the feeling you still get there, that there's a sort of almost embarrassment of riches when it comes to the architecture, and there's statues everywhere of this, that and the other. Obviously, being near Genoa, there was Christopher Columbus being represented. There were various other figures from the period you're mentioning. There's this feeling, this incredibly rich cultural and political history. And yes, that sort of idea of it once being a kind of series of smaller states that then knitted together into this very impressive whole, but that still retains this very local identity. I mean, it's probably one of the countries in Europe that most has regional identity, I think.
Which makes sense, right? Because it was only ever stitched together as a country in the 19th or late 19th, early 20th, Garibaldi and all that. So
exactly. So it happened very, very late. And yes, I suppose these days it's probably more reflected in, football affiliations. Speaking of which, we were there the weekend that Inter Milan were in the final of the Champions League.
Ooh.
Where they got absolutely hammered by Paris Saint-Germain 5-0. But it was interesting going to this party very near Milan, where I was assuming there would be fans of Inter Milan there who wanted to watch the game, but not only was the game not on, it was hardly mentioned at all, because the party was full of AC Milan fans.
Of course.
And Lara's husband, Kevin, who said to me at the beginning, he said, just as an FYI, you can't call it Inter Milan, it's just Inter. And they call AC Milan So it's that idea, that is the one true Milanese club. But anyway, yes, it's a very I love the way Italy tastes, and I love the way Italy sounds. And I was standing in a pharmacy at one point, and there was just this sort of cacophony of chows going on around me. Ciao bella, ciao, ciao. And that it's such a sort of beautiful musical sing-song language. And I think that is, it's a chicken and egg. Does the language influence the culture? Does the culture influence the language? Either way, it just speaks to the expressiveness and the emotion and the beauty and the joy and all of that I think is emblematic of Italy. So it was just delightful to be there.
Well, should we express some joy of our own, in our own particular idiosyncratic Anglo-Saxon way, and dive into the delights of a crossword?
Let's do that. Beautiful linkage, Rob.
Yeah, I'm always looking for those, Theo.
Let's go to the crossword, because crossing words is fun.
So while you spool it up, I will do a quick introduction to Guardian Quick Crossword 17,184. You can play along by clicking on the link in our show notes, or by searching on your favorite browser for Guardian Quick Crossword 17,184. We do these set unseen. We have 30 seconds to do it. We set a timer and we stick to it religiously, and we focus all of our human attentions on solving this like the Renaissance men that we are. So, Theo,
we're making our own golden age, Rob.
We're creating a golden age, a transatlantic golden age for you listeners. And aren't you lucky to be living through this with us?
Yes, we are a trading enterprise of sorts. You know, we're trading waffle from your side to my side and vice versa. And
oh, Theo, I've got the most marvelous pin on that. It is so good. I've been sitting on it all week. And when we didn't record last week, I was very disconsolate not to be able to share.
Do you want to do it now?
Well, no, I don't. I think I'm going to save that. I think let's get listeners to listen all the way till the end.
Okay. Let's tease that one. A waffle pin.
Oh, such a good waffle pin, Theo. You're going to love this.
I can't wait for the waffle pin.
I expect an appropriate reaction. Okay, so take us to a clue.
Okay, let me start the clock first, and then, without further ado, we will clue. That was a lovely little rhyme. Right, okay, so we are... Where are we? Yes, I've just gone into the wrong crossword by mistake. Now I'm in the right crossword, and it's a beautiful one across, Rob.
Oh, what is it?
As I'm sure you've noticed. Well,
I have not.
Pertaining to our discussions of continental romance, this clue is Parisian love triangle, 615.
But it's not the one that you'd think it was, because that's 514.
Not a menage a trois.
No, my friend. So we don't get to share our menage a trois stories on the pod. We're gonna have to find something else. Yeah, no good.
Oh my word!
Oh, here you go.
No, go on.
No. I want to hear it.
Well, no, I was going to say the thing I was going to say doesn't remotely work. So please, I'd rather not even say it. You sounded like you had a guess on the tip of your tongue.
I don't have a guess. I'm starting to go to the downs to get us some letters, and I looked at 3 down, which presupposes, I think, a knowledge of British television, but Sally or dad's, a dad's
Lovely.
Possessive, 3 down is 4 letters long. Theo?
So it's army, as in dad's army, but what's a Sally's army?
I think it might relate to women in the Second World War. You know, like one of those sort of recruitment drives to
the
come
land girls,
work in the mills and build munitions for the lads. We'll pin that Sally's army.
Where should we go next?
For the few, not the many. 2 down, 7 letters long.
Elitist?
Yeah, elitist. That would fit.
Speaking of elitism, Rob, we did take a trip to Portofino, which is just along the coast from Santa Margherita, and it is, I mean, overflowing with luxury yachts. You know, it's one of those places. It looks very beautiful. All these sort of villas dotting the cliff tops and all of that. But the sight of these mega yachts just made me feel kind of.
Yeah, there's something gaudy and somewhat tawdry about the Med in that regard. It just like
really is.
Yeah,
it's the sheer proliferation of them now as well. That it just doesn't feel anything particularly. It certainly doesn't feel glamorous. It just feels sort of revolting. And
this is the dawning of the age of the oligarchs.
Yeah.
Sung
exactly
to the age of the Aquarius. Everybody sing that in your heads.
We spent quite a lot of our time reflecting on what that life must really be like, and how it must, in actuality, be quite lonely and quite miserable and full of paranoia, super douchey, and the only people that want to be friends with you are also douchebags, and you end up in this kind of, I can only imagine it's a hellish sphere of douchebaggery that is becomes impossible to
sea-doing between each other's yachts for douchebag drinking parties and.
Horrible. Yeah. Anyway,
we're much happier in our bourgeois existence. I shall pat myself on the back for my choices in life.
Yeah, well done us for our modest ways.
Because we could
all
be there.
All by choice, of course.
We could be there.
Yeah, of course we could. We could have luxury yachts if we wanted them, but we don't want them, Rob. We'd rather be here doing a podcast with you for no monetary return, but the sheer bloody love of it. So, amen to that.
And you know what? That's a delightful turn of phrase, Theo.
By the way,
9 across. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just say, menage does fit that first word of 1 across.
It does. You're right. Menage does fit because it's.
In fact, Rob, so does toi.
Oh my God, Rob. It's not been my morning, Theo.
It's not been your morning. It is menage a trois. Of course it is.
Listeners, Theo, everyone, I apologize. I fall on my figurative sword. Okay, well, that is also a turn of phrase, Theo. So I'm going to go back to this and immediately away from my idiocy to something that does start with idio and is a figurative turn of phrase. It is 9 across, 5 letters long.
Yes, got it. Sorry. I'm just trying to bring up the clue, which is proving tricky with my butter thumbs, but I have now. Then it is, figurative turn of phrase, blank, blank, I, blank, M.
Yep. So figurative turn of phrase.
Which is an interesting word because it does sound related to idiot, but it's not, is it?
No.
It's
my
idiom.
God. This book I'm reading has this marvelous dive into language, and an idiot, it relates to Greek, and I'll look it up. I'll put a pin in that as well, because the etymology of it is not at all related to sort of being stupid.
Ooh.
Yeah. So maybe that's why it relates to idiom. Okay. I believe it was someone who liked, their own counsel.
You can add that to your
add that to list of pins. Yeah, we'll add that to the next episode, I think. So, for the few, not the many, is now E from our Menage à trois, space I, and then 4 more spaces, 7 letters long. So, Theo, I think elitist, as you'd suggested, definitely seems to fit. I think it must be
elitist, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We've got a whole lot of juicy letters coming off Menage à trois. It itself a juicy little French phrase.
Producing many a juicy clue. So we've got a nice long anagram for you.
Oh my
12
God.
letters long, which is 7 down. And it's an anagram of suntan bearer, which I like to think, this week, having spent 3 days on the coast of Italy. But yeah, the anagram is suntan bearer, and the clue is like hell, some say.
Oh my
in brackets.
God. This is pretty long.
That's an interesting one, isn't it?
It is.
Beginning with S. Oof. Okay, let's get back to it.
Yeah. I was just trying. You can get the word Satan out of suntan bearer.
We can get a quick one at 6 down, which is rock, soap, or comic. 5 letters beginning with O.
Mm-hmm.
Must be opera.
Opera. Back to Italy.
Indeed.
Here, Theo, something old-fashioned for you. An old-fashioned farewell. 6-2, starting with T for the first word. An old-fashioned farewell. Oh, I know what it is. It's the kind of thing that, again, back to Toad, back to Wind in the Willows. Toad would say this. Am I right about this? Oh, no, it's too short. Damn it. Unless it's spelled differently. I think it is.
Beginning with T.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing you'd say to a fox. Wouldn't you say this when you're fox hunting?
Oh, tally-ho.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean farewell, and also doesn't fit.
Well, how's tally spelled?
I think tally's Tally, no?
Oh, I was thinking Talley. Okay. Tally-ho.
I suppose it could be tally-ho.
Oh, it is.
Tally-ho.
Yeah.
I thought tally-ho meant like, come along, tally-ho.
Yeah, maybe it does.
Rather than farewell.
Okay, well, here's one. Every cloud has a silver lining, say, 10 across, 7 letters long, third last letter E. This would give us a letter on tally-ho. It would be an L if tally-ho's right in the third space. Every cloud has a silver lining. Yeah.
So that's like a saying, isn't it? Dare I say, an idiom.
Yep.
So it could be that. It could be something that means that, like aphorism, I suppose. But that doesn't fit with opera.
I was thinking that type of answer as well.
Yeah.
Oh, what about this? One may be attached to a vehicle. 6 letters long. It's 15 across. We have no letters. That would infirm or confirm the H on tally-ho.
Could that be trailer, or is that too long?
It's too long.
So many things.
Yeah.
A caravan, a tow rope,
Yeah.
Oh, Rob.
I know.
Do you know what we should do? I think we should just sort of dot about.
Yeah, because I've noticed there's a lot of difficulty.
Because we're already 10 minutes down.
Okay,
so,
and we've got very little. So let's get going.
Right. I'm trying to think if there's any easy. Okay, here's a low hanger.
Where?
14 across, grated
Yep.
spice, 6 letters, third letter T. Must be nutmeg, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Nice, Theo. I was staring at that. I'm like, that's not easy.
So another long anagram is at 8 down. And it's an anagram of nigh a dead end.
Yes.
Nigh a dead end. And the clue is ulterior motive.
Yeah.
And we do have some letters from that. So we have blank I, and then that first word ends in N. So it's 6.
Oh, I got it. It's hidden agenda.
Oh, yes. Okay, that cracks open a lot on this left-hand side. So well done for getting that one.
Yeah, thank you. That helps me feel better about life. Let's just fill in 11 across, D space, I space, which is stage.
Ooh.
I believe that is a dais.
Oh, right, yes. Okay, sorry. I was thinking like a stage of something.
Oh, yeah, like a stage of the journey.
Yeah. Or the Giro d'Italia, which was won this week or last week by a Brit, Simon Yates. So well done to him.
Well done.
Very
Simon.
Italian-themed episode, this one. I like
It is. It just keeps coming. Well, here's some Italian last names in 19 down. Wharton and Sitwell. Very Italian last names. Do you know?
Edith, yeah?
Oh, dude, awesome, because I don't know.
Was that too quick?
No, that's great. We have to move as I think we...
No, we do have to move. We haven't got time to
I think as we...
prevaricate.
Ooh, that was so good, Theo. The fact of getting that H has helped crack, for me, 24 across, which is another long anagram. And it is an anagram of oaf, lost teeth. And it is a sports person's affliction. A space H, a whole lot of letters, and then 4 letters. Theo, I think you have it.
I do have it, and it's our old friend Athlete's Foot.
Oh, Athlete's Foot. What a great... Have you ever had Athlete's Foot, Theo?
I can't say I have, no.
I think I got it from the Brockwell Lido changing room the first year I was in
Shout out to
England.
Brockwell Lido.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the whole foot, but your sort of toes just become inflamed. It's very horrible, and it takes you a while to realize what's going on, especially if you never had it before. And then you have to sort of get... It's not that bad. You just get some kind of cream and it goes away. But it's actually really unpleasant while it's there. And it's highly catching, apparently. That's why athletes get
Does
it.
it recur once you've got it? Is it like a...
No. It's not like herpes or anything. It's just...
I was going to say herpes, and I thought maybe that's an unfair comparison, but...
poor herpes. Much maligned herpes.
Poor old herpes. Much maligned herpes. Shout out to herpes. 22 across, not so quiet. 7 letters. N blank I, and then 4 blanks.
I think that's pretty clear. Well, noisier?
Noisier or noisome?
Well, noisome, didn't we agree was smelly?
Oh, yes, we did. Well remembered.
Our old friend Noisome.
Throwback to series 1, I think.
Let's say episode 16, just to throw that out there.
Do you know 18 across? Unclear situation. 4, G blank E blank, and then we don't have any letters for the second word.
I wish I did. I know. I mean, gray area.
Oh, grey area. Well done, Rob.
Yeah, I was just trying to piece out what could go there.
Yes.
And then, gray
really
area.
well done. 13 down, we've got all the letters we're going to get, and it's no answer, question mark. 8 letters, blank E, blank A, blank I, blank E.
I know it. Negative.
No answer? Negative.
Yeah.
Very American way of saying
negative. No. Yeah, totally.
Okay. And at 17 down, we also have all the letters for that, which is extent, 6 letters, blank E, blank R, blank E.
Yes.
So the extent of something is the...
I know. It's the R space E, which would suggest either you could have an S there, you could have a G there, you could have another vowel if it was sort of like an I, for instance. You could have what letters would go there? I think that's the one that'll help us. V.
So we're halfway through, just for
Okay. Well, I think we've got ourselves kind of back to giving ourselves a possibility.
Yeah, it feels like we're roughly halfway through the clues, so we're not necessarily off track, but we need to.
We're not out of the woods. I think we
Oh, yeah.
both agree.
So here's an interesting one that is 12 across, miner's workplace, 8 letters.
Yeah. Oh, I think I know it.
And there's an A at the 6th letter.
Yeah.
So were you going to... Yeah, go on.
You go for it, Theo.
Well, I was going to say mine shaft, but that's too long.
Well, also, it's shaft in the clue. I thought that too. And then...
Mine,
oh my god, I think I know what the goodbye is, and it's not tally ho, because I think I know what this is. So this is an expression often used to say, you're at the when, you're really at the sort of the most challenging part. Used often in English, I believe. It's being at the, and think about what people mind in your part of the world, my friend. You talked to me about it the other day.
Hang on, sorry. Are we on miner's workplace? Or
we're on miner's
we
workplace. So I'm moving around. My brain is not solid today.
If you're at the... Oh, Rob.
You mentioned it the other day. We were talking, I believe it was either on or off pod, about, I think, a museum you went to or something when you were up in Northumberland. And I think you mentioned was it you that mentioned a specific set of painters who had painted...
Oh, the Pitman painters and the wonderful Woodhall Museum, which I'm grateful to you for giving me a chance to give them a shout out, because it is fabulous. Anyone going to Northumberland who wants to learn a bit more about the history of mining in that region, brilliant museum. But anyway, what did I say? The coalface. Yes. Well done, Rob.
No, well done you did it.
Good knowledge.
So I think, Theo, old-fashioned farewell is T space L space O is the second word. And I believe it may be...
Oh, I've got it. No, I haven't got it. I was going to say toodle pip.
Oh, I believe it's toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Yes.
Right? I never knew it was toodle-oo. I thought it was toodle-loo, but it's toodle-oo. It has to be, because otherwise it'd be toodle-low. So toodle-oo.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Could it be toodle? No, it must be toodle-oo.
No, I think it's toodle-oo. Yeah.
So then one may be attached to a vehicle, now has a second letter of O. So it could be tow something.
Yep. Yeah.
Ugh.
Tow bar.
Tow bar.
Yeah?
Yes. Lovely,
like
Rob.
Okay.
I do like it. Let's keep moving.
Okay. Well, let's just check if that R is in the anagram, suntan bearer. Yeah, so we're cool, because that's the last that would fit into our like hell anagram, which does have an R in it. Okay, that gives us a B in an interesting place, Theo, which is a 7-letter word, show of courage, starting in B, ending in O, 7 letters long.
Yes, I think I've got this. Bravado.
Where do you think is that? That sounds Italian.
Anything with an O on the end sounds Italian.
Yes.
Bravado. So, example, I mentioned being in a pharmacy. I was there to get some paracetamol. You can probably imagine why. My head was rather sore the morning after the party, and so I ordered some paracetamol. And normally that's quite embarrassing. Like, if you ask for paracetamol in a French pharmacy, they won't know what you're talking about. But in an Italian pharmacy, they went, "Oh, paracetamolo." Like, of course, it's just paracetamol with an O on the end, which seems to be. If in doubt in Italy, add an O and you've probably got the word. Yeah. 21 down. Facetious.
The signor had a heavy night last night.
Oh, ciao. Let me get you something for your sore head, though. A paracetamolo.
Hey, Salvatore, some paracetamolo for the English pop.
National stereotyping on Two Across? Never.
We wouldn't do that.
Not what we do.
So what? We alienated all the citizens of Vanuatu and Jamaica last week, and now we're on to Italy.
This week we're taking on the entirety of Italy, so we're growing all the time.
Yeah, it's great.
Next week Mexico, and following on from that, swiftly will be the United States and China. And
we might as well go for the biggies at some point.
We may as well. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob, we need to focus. We have 10 minutes left and
Okay, shit.
a fair few to get through. So,
Yes, we do.
where do you want to go next?
Don't know, bro. Every cloud has a silver lining, say. We had that before. So now we have an O in the 3rd position and an E in the 5th position of a 7-letter word, which is a synonym for every cloud has a silver lining, say.
Because it could be something like, related to optimism.
No, yeah.
So like a good...
It's also like succor or like it's like consolation, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. That it has so many potential meanings. I can get us a quick one, by the way, in the bottom right.
Do it.
Which is 23 across, and I'm sure you can get this too. It is 5 letters long, and the clue is scarlet in Gone with the Wind. And it has a 3rd letter of A.
Johansson?
Yeah. Now that I could see them doing that. I could genuinely see Hollywood doing a mega remake of Gone with the Wind.
She's had a long career.
She has. So that is, of course, Scarlett O'Hara. And that means that 21 down, which is brackets facetious, young people fall down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is one of these where the Guardian's trying to get down with the kids. It's blank O, blank F. Mm-hmm. And I think it might be youth.
Oh, wow.
Like da youth. Do you think?
Wow. Theo, yes, I would never have gotten that, so I'm just going to, yes, wow.
Yeah. I think that's what that is. I mean, I could be wrong, but
yeah,
I can't think of something else that fits. We're still stuck on this, well, on quite a few, including extent. 6 letters, blank E, blank R, blank E.
Yeah. I know.
Because the extent of something is like the entirety of it, isn't it? So...
Yeah. I know. I'm just as distressed as you, my friend.
And you're not any further with this anagram. Suntan bearer.
Nope. If it's an anagram that ends up sinking us, I'll be very sad.
Like hell, some say, is the clue.
Yeah.
Sod the lot of them.
Yeah.
No. Like hell. No way. No, we need more letters. We need more letters. Can we get 4 down, put to work? 6 letters beginning with E.
Put to work.
5th letter of O. Employ.
Oh, yeah. That was easy.
So that means 10 across. Every cloud has a silver lining.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, Rob, brilliant.
Proverb,
yes. So we were right. It was related to an idiom or an aphorism.
Okay, so we have a lot of letters for this, like hell, some say, suntan bearer. So now for listeners, it's a 12-letter long word. It has S space B space E space R, 3 spaces, A space. S space B space E space R, 3 spaces, A space. So like hell. So... Oh, I like could have been suburban, but no, not close enough. Sorry, S space B.
Yeah,
but no.
Or Siberian. But that also doesn't fit with either the clue or the anagram.
Like hell, some say. Huh.
Oh, clever. I've got it.
Let's hear it, Theo.
It's Terranean.
Oh, Theo. Yay. Well done. Good.
Yeah.
Lateral thinking.
Well, I'm just always glad to get an anagram before you, Rob. That's a rare occurrence.
I think you got the longest anagram we've ever seen, or at least amongst.
So is it Yes, it is. Subterranean.
Yeah. So we've got time check, Theo. We've got 2 left.
We have 5 minutes to get 2 clues.
This is... Yeah. Don't I know it?
So it's 20 across, which is wands manipulated, 4 letters, blank A, blank N. Oh! What's that word? You can manipulate like if you manipulate the markets, you know?
No, I got it. Think
on.
about chess.
Oh, a pawn.
What do you think?
Sorry, I'm barking way up the wrong tree. Yes, definitely porn. Well done.
Yeah.
Which gives us an almost agonizingly long amount of time, just under 5 minutes, to get extent. 6 letters long. Blank E, blank R, blank E.
Yeah, agonizing indeed. How much time do we have left?
We have exactly 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
Right. So do you want to agonize through this, or do you want me to tell you what it is?
Oh, Rob. Well, do you know what? We are a bit tight for time today, so why don't you just tell us what it is? We can see if we've got the crossword, and then we can get on with the pins.
I think we should actually today, because you're right.
Yeah.
We have things to do.
We can maximise our post-crossword chat.
Things to see and people to do, as it were.
Yeah, so go on.
As our Menage a trois would have it. So I believe it is a very simple word. I've actually been picking away at it as we've been looking at the others. I've been kind of returning to this, and I think it is degree.
Oh, nice. Like the extent to it. Yes, lovely, Rob.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Right, end crossword. Now, if we do get this all right, we get the scores back to 16-15 for
That's
the
pretty
series.
good. Yeah,
which is
31.
amazing, considering we probably have, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 episodes left in this series. That gives us a really good chance of potentially ending up for series 2. So this feels pretty,
Oh, go ahead. I got a frus last week, or earlier this week, when that's a good Quebec word, which is just like a sudden, like, ooh, like a shiver, you know? When I learned that my children actually are off school as of Friday, and then they start I know. No.
I'm feeling your shiver.
I know. Well, not my youngest, but my high school age children. Yeah, I know. I transmitted it all the way across the Atlantic, like a sudden breeze just blew through your window.
The curtains just flapped. Yeah.
But I mean, they'll be studying, but studying, this is just my air quotes, can't be seen by listeners, but man, like, so because you're talking about the season almost being over, because that we're going to end when the British kids break for summer, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. But my kids are going to be here, and I'm my like little bubble, my little happy domestic bubble during the day where I get freedom from their loafery and anyway.
Yeah.
Sigh.
Can I just put us out of our misery on the crossword front?
Yes.
By the way, we are all correct. So,
Oh, tally ho!
well done us.
Blow the trumpet.
Yeah, tally ho and toodaloo. We have cracked the crossword. So well done
Yay.
us. Let's get to your pins.
All right. So
By which I don't mean Rob's fabulously shapely legs, but our
well,
the
Theo,
items.
I've been
we are
working
going
out.
Yeah, I know you have, Rob.
Crosswords done, that was fun. Now let's have a chat.
That reminds me of that thing. I think it was L.A. Story with Steve Martin, which I wonder if it still holds up. It's probably incredibly not appropriate these
I've
days.
seen it.
Oh, it was so good. It was like Steve Martin was this sort of like depressed man, and there was this highway billboard that was putting messages speaking just to him, and he would like go and like say, he kept driving by it, and he's like, what are these things? And it was like messages just to him about his life. And finally he like walks up to it. But there's some point in the movie, I can't remember when, where he's sort of sitting with his feet, his shoes off, and his feet are sort of in some water or something, and some woman says, oh, you have nice feet. And it's like, oh, thanks, I work out.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's an interesting premise. It feels there's that thing in Minority Report, the Tom Cruise film, where he's living in a future world where adverts are sort of customized to you. So billboards will scan your retina and then work out who you are and then fire a custom advert to you, which is obviously, I mean, that is the internet, isn't it? That is the world we're already in now. But the idea of a custom billboard giving you advice about your life, I quite like that.
Yeah. It's very, very 90s.
It is very 90s. Very 90s, yeah. So Rob, where do we start? Where do you want to start?
We have so many. I'm gonna leave the waffle till later. I'm just gonna go through my list as constituted on my pod list of things that I noted from our last episode.
So just looping back on the conversation we had about, improvements we might make to the pod or changes we might make going forward. We talked about having a mailbag section. We haven't, in full disclosure, had any mail this week, or this fortnight, I should say. So therefore, our pins are going to act as our mailbag for this week, I think. And Rob is going to take us through them.
Let's go through them.
Fire away.
So the first one, related to our friend Haile Gerbselassie. So it's Gerbselassie, not Gerbelassie.
The marathon runner rather than the
Ethiopian long-distance runner, known as the Emperor of Distance Running. So he was a marathon runner, but he ran all kind of distances. And in fact, his best performances were 2 golds in the 10,000 meter in Athens and Sydney. Personal best marathon in Berlin at 2008 at 2 hours, 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And he's apparently, since leaving running, he became an entrepreneur in his native Ethiopia, and has a whole bunch of business interests, including a chain of hotels, a car assembly plant that employs over 3,000 people, and earns over 30 million BIRR annually. So,
well, maybe one of those super yachts I saw in Italy was his.
Was Haile Gerbselassie, yes. Maybe he's employing 3,000 people on his yacht.
Yeah, well, it's quite a well-trodden path, or well-run path, the route from sports into business, isn't it? And lots of them now go and do stuff like that, which is, I
Do you wonder if people in those yachting communities are sort of ever missing the Russian oligarchs that they used to summer with? They're like, oh, I can't wait till the Kozlovs come back. You know, when's this beastly war going to be over, and we can get back to having mojitos with the Kozlovs?
I wonder that. It always strikes me as quite a difficult club to join, but a very easy club to leave. You know, if you just make that one bad financial decision and suddenly have to hawk your super yacht to the bank and no longer getting invited.
That one ill-advised invasion.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So next, Theo, really quick, sleaze. I just love that. And we talked about, because sleaze, in terms of sleazy, we all know that, the Leisure Suit Larry version of sleaze. But then there's also the political version of it, which is idiomatic to the UK. And it refers to allegations of unethical, corrupt, or immoral behavior by politicians. And as you quite rightly stated in the pod, Theo, it became prominent as a term in the John Major administration.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give one last one before I get to the one that everybody has been sitting through, an agonizing minutes of podcasting to get to, which is the Waffle one. John Irving. We talked about John Irving in the Cider House Rules, and we asked, have you ever read a book by John Irving? They're like, no, I don't think I have. And then my wife sent me a text the other day, and she said, dude, you've read A Prayer for Owen Meany like 6 months ago. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Right.
Not only have you read one, but you've read one within the last year.
Yeah. And a really long one. Right. So I have read a John Irving book, turns out. Who knew?
That's good
but he's not Irish. He's American.
Yes. And how was the book?
Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's very long, but it's a very odd book. It's cute in a certain way. It's also very sort of sad in another way. But it's a pretty good book. It's a good read.
Okay. Well, that's good. I would have been surprised if you had not read a book of his oeuvre, given you are one of the most widely read friends in my acquaintance.
Oh, thank you, Theo.
Yeah.
Books have a hold. But we're waffling on. We're waffling on, Theo.
We are waffling on, which takes us beautifully to...
So I posited at our last record, which I think was in late May, that maybe that day was International Waffle Day, because we were waffling on a lot and we kept saying, well, maybe this is International Waffle Day. Well, it turns out that International Waffle Day is a thing. It is celebrated on the 25th of March every year. And it originated in Sweden as Waffeldagen. And I'm really sorry, Swedes, if I mispronounced that, Waffeldagen. But it was originally a religious day, the Feast of the Annunciation, which is the day that Mary, was immaculately
conceived,
or immaculately Something.
We're struggling here for the right. Inseminated, I guess. It's just
there you go.
Let's just cut to the chase.
They just didn't decide not to go with the immaculate insemination. They didn't feel
Funnily
that
enough,
was somewhere.
Didn't take hold. No.
A little too medical. Let's think of something better.
Immaculate turkey baster.
Yes. But anyway, the Feast of the Annunciation, the day of the Immaculate Insemination, in Swedish is Varfrudagen, which sounds a lot like Waffeldagen. And so I guess some cheeky Swedes felt, well, Varfrudagen sounds a lot like Waffeldagen, and so we'll turn the Mary Day into Waffle Day. And over time, it just became a day to celebrate waffles. So in Sweden, people celebrated by eating heart-shaped waffles, which is apparently the traditional shape of a waffle, in Sweden, in a sort of irreverent toast to the Virgin Mary.
Gosh.
So there
no
you go.
better way to mark such an occasion than the eating of a waffle. I love this about any kind of religious festival. It is basically just an excuse to turn an event from the life of your chosen god into a massive knees up / indulgence of food and
of waffle eating.
It's like, so what do we celebrate? The birth of Jesus, is it? Oh, right. Yeah. Well, we should probably have a turkey. We should, I'm sure he'd want us to have some cake and lots of wine. What better way? Or Easter. Let's chuck some chocolate in there. Why not? Because
the day our Savior died, what better way to celebrate that than by having a rabbit come and deliver chocolates to the children? They're already struggling so much with the idea of the loss of our Savior. Let's console them with a chocolate delivering rabbit.
Yeah. What is it? The Immaculate Insemination of Mary must have a waffle. Must have a waffle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She no doubt ate. Maybe waffles were her pregnancy food.
Good on you, Sweden, for coming up with that one. Speaking of Sweden, Rob, I am going to be going to Sweden later in the year.
Are you?
For my cousin's wedding. I have so my uncle lives in Sweden and his daughter is getting married in August. So I will be going there shortly after our America trip. So we're doing quite a lot of globe trotting in the summer.
Amazeballs.
I'm really, really looking forward to it because I've only been once and I went for a midsummer, obviously, which was fab, really, really fun, but it was just, a sort of whistle stop. So I'm looking forward to going back.
Well,
and
Theo, I think you should make it a waffle stop this time.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's what I should do.
So you're becoming our roving cub reporter now. You're the one who's moving around Italy, Sweden, Maine, various places. Just,
Yeah. Maybe finally I'm catching up some air miles on you because, traditionally you've been the more, what's that lovely word? That
intrepid?
Use? Itinerant?
Itinerant.
Yeah.
I like that. Which could mean a few different things because itinerant can also mean that you're a hobo.
That you're... Yes.
Well, because in French it's an itinéraire. Itinérant. Itinerant, literally that word in French means a hobo.
You could say transient, I suppose.
Transient, wow.
But that more means like you're here, 1 minute, gone the next. Which
also gives off hobo vibes.
Also gives off hobo vibes. My transient itinerant friend, Rob.
Yeah. And transient, it's like transgressive as well, like it sounds like while he's itinerating, he's also sinning.
There is another word which I'm sure is used in the context of I suppose troubadour. You could say troubadour. But can you turn that into you're the more troubadourian of the pair of us?
Well, I'd have to have a lute slung to my back.
Oh, I can imagine that though, Rob.
Yeah.
I think in a former life you may well have been a travelling lutist.
I think so, with some bells on my pointy shoes.
Yes.
So I can sort of jam with my feet while I play my lute.
Yes, you play some lute and then read the news headlines and move on to the next town. Impart some. That's, by the way, Zeus snoring loudly on my lap because he's very pleased to have me home. So he's just making the most. And
did he go to Devon or was he?
Yeah, he was in Devon, and my beloved in-laws looked after him as well as the children. So they really do deserve a hearty shout out on this week's episode because, yes, they really did us a solid.
They enabled the night that required that paracetamolo.
Indeed they did. I must admit, so the very first night we arrived, I wasn't going to share this on the pod, but I will because it's kind of funny. We had quite a stressful drive down from Milan. We were there with some other neighbours of ours that we flew to Milan with, and we all drove down together, which was, in typical Italian fashion. The traffic was heavy, the horns were honking. I was getting, pretty stressed about just trying to find the way, and we ended up on this incredibly windy road, just going down this, almost this kind of the Giro d'Italia type road with hairpin bend after hairpin bend. So we were all feeling a little sort of queasy by the time we got to the bottom. And then we ran out for a very belated and very hearty Italian dinner. And I then spent most of that night hugging the Italian porcelain because my body just sort of crashed, I suppose. It was just like, okay, this is all a bit much. And
too much richness.
All the contents of my hearty Italian dinner came back to haunt me. But I then got straight back on the horse the next day, I'm pleased to say, and was able to enjoy the party. And it didn't hold me back, Rob. It didn't hold me back.
This is like your tagine story, Theo. It's like this is your thing. Yeah. You go to different parts of the world, overindulge to the point of illness.
It's funny you say that because I was talking to Kate about exactly that, how it is increasingly becoming a pattern of behaviour. You tend to go to a new place, totally overindulge myself. But as I said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And that's exactly what they would have done.
Go to the vomitorium at the end of your meal.
Go to the vomitorium. So it was, in its way, highly, highly applicable. And I can't remember how I got onto that anecdote, what my way in was. But
you got there just the same.
I got there just the same. So,
Theo, should we deliver our listeners from evil and lead them not to temptation?
Indeed, and bid them ciao and arrivederci. And thank you for listening. As always, lovely, lovely Two Across listeners. It's been a pleasure to have your company. We're sorry again for the slight gap in episodes as of last week, but hopefully you will forgive us and understand. And believe me when I say we will be back next week for the next episode of Two Across to see if we can level the scores at last and get to 16-16 with nail-biting tension all round. So thank you again for joining us. Two Across is a podcast by Theo Bezuquet and Rob Cole. Music is by Enthusiasts, which is Rob's project that you can find on Spotify or wherever you get your music. And if you do enjoy us and our wafflings, please give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, a word of mouth recommendation. Anything you can do to try and spread the word would be greatly appreciated. And take care, enjoy your weeks. Tally bye. Tally who? No, tally. What was it, Rob?
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.